Thanks for joining us for Ohio and Company. I'm Eve Mueller. We've got a lot in store on the show today. In 1906, the Schwabels family started selling their family's famous bread on the streets of Youngstown, Ohio. More than 100 years later, the company has grown into one of the largest regional bread and baked products company in the Midwest. Today, we sit down with some of the family members who help keep the company strong.
Our bread is in just about every supermarket in the state of Ohio, and it didn't really happen by accident, but in some ways it wasn't necessarily our goal. I think our goal has always been to make a good quality loaf of bread. We're there every day in the store, fresh, always tasting the same, and people can count on that. And I think, you know, people like having things that they can count on and things that they like and that they enjoy, and that's important to them. So that's how we become successful, one loaf at a time.
Schwabel is the bread for you.
The company was started by my grandmother and my grandfather, but my grandfather had actually gone broke. And he went to my grandmother and he said, "What are we going to do?" And she said, "What can we do? The only thing we can do is you bake, and after you bake, I'll take and I'll sell it door to door." And so she took the rye bread door to door on a bicycle in big wicker baskets. That's basically the way we started, and that was how we started in my grandmother's kitchen. During the Depression, my grandmother didn't want to see people go hungry. And when someone would come to the bakery in those days and things were very, very tough, they would ask for Aunt Dora and she would see that they got a loaf of bread. Somehow she always found a loaf of bread for one of those families. Eleanor Roosevelt came to town in 1957, and she came, it was after the war, but my grandmother had done a lot during the war to help the war effort. And she actually knew of my grandmother and said that she thought a lot of Dora Schwabel. I believe they were actually friendly during, you know, that time, and certainly during that visit. She wanted to meet with my grandmother because my grandmother had done so much for the war effort and was continuing to sell bonds and do things that they sat down in that famous photo of Eleanor and my grandmother was taken.
My mama done told me she had some bad news. She didn't buy me Schwabel's giant white bread. Now this kid has got the blues. I got them white bread blues.
Schwabel's Giant, of course, which is our #1 seller, Italiano, Sweet Harvest Wheat, Roman Meal, Country Hearth, Sun-Made Raisin Bread, Cinnabon. We distribute a host of other types of breads. Some are flatbreads, some are pita breads. We have a very popular line of whole grain breads that are relatively new called Schwabel Selects that have really received a great response from more health conscious consumers. All whole grain breads have a good source of fiber. So I think that it's appealing to an array. It's not just one group. I mean, we appeal to families, and I think that's important.
Here's Happy the Clown with his nose painted red. He's coming to tell you about Schwabel's fine bread. There's Schwabel's on tables all over the town.
I'm Happy.
He's Happy the toasty taste clown.
It was right in the midst of the Depression. People were looking for something to be excited about, to be happy about. So the agency that we were working with at the time came up with this logo, Happy the Clown. Schwabel's was very difficult to pronounce, and a lot of children buy Schwabel products, and the mothers would send their children in to buy the bread, and they didn't want to say, well, go in and buy Schwabel's bread. Go in and buy the clown bread. So Happy the Clown, you know, kids like clowns, and that's the folklore, the family folklore of the birth of Happy. Schwabel Baking Company is always customer oriented, and that has been key to our growth over the years. Our whole life is bread. Everything else is mere detail. That's what we think about in the morning, that's what we think about during the day, and that's what we do at night. And to think that only 3% of all companies reach 4th generation, how proud do you think it makes me that we have 4 4th generation that work every day at Schwebel Baking Company? I can tell you something that makes me real proud.
The sky seems bluer, the sun shines through. Funny what a loaf of Schwebels can do.
I think that our brand has become iconic, not because our company set out to become an iconic brand or come up with iconic imagery. I think folks that try to do that, companies that try to do that, often fail. I think our products, the quality, the certain color of our packaging, Happy the Clown, have withstood the test of time. It's been a woven part of their family. It's on kitchen tables, it's in their kitchen counter. Schwebels has become a part of their family because it's a part of their memories over so many years, from generation to generation.
Then stand up and shout, I want Schwebels, no other labels will do.
Yeah!
The quality is the secret to our success. You know, without quality you have nothing. So the first thing that we believe in is quality. We started with 40 loaves a day in our bakery, and today we make over 700,000 a day in our bakeries. And the reason that is that we have gone from 40 to 700,000 is because of quality.